Hello and welcome to Cutting the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. I'm Ben and as always I'm hanging out with Mike.
Hello.
Claire.
Hey.
And Pete.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about the world's he's the biggest killer in the world in terms of body count. I don't know if it's all accidental. I think there might be some naive innocence, or it might be just pure heartless capitalism. Well, this guy's killed probably more people than anybody else on the planet.
Yep. It's not the usual suspects. It's not Hitler. It's not Stalin. It's not Genghis or Genghis Khan.
Genghis, we always go with Dan Carling on that.
Genghis, it's Genghis, isn't it?
It's Genghis.
Sounds like Jenga.
I'm sorry, the show position is anything
That's the
historical.
Americanised version.
We go with Dan Carling.
Okay.
Is Dan Carling American?
Yes.
Right. That has no credibility for me then, I'm afraid.
He's got the best.
Americans speaking English, I'm afraid.
He's got the best damn history podcast on the internet, and I will always take his word.
Yeah, Genghis Khan.
Americans say Moscow.
He doesn't say Moscow.
Moscow.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah, so it wasn't any of them psychopaths, dictators.
It was Deirdre from Ramp Corner at number 38.
No,
With a rolling pin.
it's the
The
man.
village poisoner.
No, it is the man who put lead into petrol and then invented CFCs, nearly destroying the ozone layer.
So he wasn't content with poisoning the world, people of the world. He almost destroyed the entire planet and stripped life, as we know it, off the planet.
Yeah. It's a doozy double, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just some unknown chemist.
Was his name
Is it?
Homer Simpson?
No, his name was John Midgely.
Oh yeah, but he's unknown to the general public.
Yeah.
No one knows who John Midgely. I didn't know until last week.
No, it's true.
I stumbled across it.
It does sound like an episode of The Simpsons, doesn't it, though, really?
Yeah.
Something Homer did.
It does when he gets to how he died. The guy's just a fuck up.
Well, let's thank some new and returning listeners then.
Yes, let's do that indeed. Read our selection. I'm going to
Start with the bottom one.
Lennestadt in Germany, Jacksonville, Florida, Brisbane in Australia, Oral in Kazakhstan.
Hey, you like that place?
I want to go on holiday to Oral.
I want to go on a waterbed cruise to the Isle of Lesbos.
We were all our dreams.
Followed by oral.
Complimentary oral.
Camden in the United Kingdom, Leon in Mexico, Rudover Municipality in Denmark, Sydney, Australia, San Antonio, Texas, Groningen in the Netherlands, Atlanta, Georgia, Aurora, Colorado, Spring Valley, New York, Illescas in Spain, Bengaluru in India, Boardman, Oregon, Ashburn, Virginia, Guadalajara, Spain, and Porterville in Missouri.
Oh, Ashburn, you've let us down this week.
Missouri's taken over.
Yeah.
Well, Porterville wins it this week. Thomas J. Midgely.
One of history's most dangerous inventors, probably the worst.
Puts him above every single Nazi scientist and doctor.
The guy that invented the nuclear bomb. You know what I mean? Even puts you above him. It's quite mad when you think of that.
Was it just an accident then, or was he actually trying?
He knew the dangers, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, inventions through history have often made everyday tasks easier, and some, like trains, the cotton gin, printing press and computers, have been revolutionary. But other inventions have backfired and proven to be detrimental in the long run. Among those who contributed some of history's most dangerous innovations was a bespectacled chemist from Beaver Falls in Pennsylvania.
What's him wearing specs have to do with anything?
Are you claiming glasses racism?
Yeah, that's glassesism.
Get back on your woke train, hippie.
Visionism. Visionism.
I guess bespectacled people are considered less violent.
Nah, they're more evil. Himmler wore spectacles.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Stalin. Not in public, but to read. I mean, Colonel Gaddafi always had sunglasses on.
He did.
They were prescription.
We don't know if they were prescription or not, in all fairness. Probably not at the time. You know, gotta look out for them people with glasses. I mean, Pete openly admitted he wants to go back in time and shoot people with an AK-47. The evidence is stacking up. Now, Thomas Midgely Jr. introduced the world to both leaded gasoline and chlorofluorocarbons, which is CFCs, now considered two of the world's most harmful chemical compounds. And while Midgely won multiple prestigious awards during his lifetime, research in recent decades has shown how the compounds he developed for use in cars and refrigerators ended up ravaging the environment and poisoning people. He was born on the 18th of May 1889. So, this is the time here we're looking at when there wasn't any environmental laws as such, but they still knew lead was bad for you. The ancient Greeks knew lead was bad for you.
Okay.
So you have to wonder whether...
Yeah, but we know that now. Did they know that then?
The ancient Greeks?
No,
They knew lead was bad for you.
Yeah,
It poisoned you.
So the ancient Greeks knew lead was bad for you, but did they know that they knew that?
Yeah.
Well, it'll be passed down.
I know, but history's a lot more accessible to us nowadays.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Do you know? Understand where I'm getting
I guess
to?
you would also look at
The
lead
knowledge wasn't-
miners,
Yeah.
because they would get
but
lead
it's-
poisoning on occasion, so...
But at the same time, they were very dumb to a lot of shit like that in those days.
but it's all written down in scientific journals.
Whether it was
medical journals from
Yeah.
miners who get lead poisoning.
It was
was it just
commonly
negligence or was it?
No,
what's
it's more
the word?
sinister than that.
No, I mean like
I think it's
yeah.
fair to say that ancient Greeks will have shared it across Europe.
It was
that
common
would have
knowledge,
reached-
Pete.
yeah. But you understand what I'm saying though, like in the sense that history is a lot more available to us now than it would have been 120 years ago. So is there a little bit of that? They weren't quite as clued up as we are now.
No, he's got a degree in mechanical engineering. He's not an idiot.
People wrote books back then.
Yeah, it was scientifically known.
Yeah. I ain't sticking up for the dude.
No. In 1916, he joined General Motors' Delco Research Laboratory under Charles Kettering to work on improvements to automobiles. His focus was tackling the problem of engine knock. Knocking was a common problem in early 20th century engines. When an engine neared its maximum load, it made pinging noises that could destroy it. After a lengthy study, Midgely discovered that tetrahentyl lead, TEL or TEL, as a fuel additive virtually eliminated the knock. Even Berry found out that TEL increased engine performance and speed.
So did it bring down the combustion temperature of it essentially or something? Just it ignited a bit easier or something?
Yeah, it made it more stable.
You get one explosion instead of multiple ones.
Yeah, okay.
So it controlled the explosion better. Because the car, you think about it, it's all pop, 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 and it's juddering.
Yeah.
The lead, it's all pop, 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 as it explodes in the cylinders.
It's a scientific explanation for you there.
It was.
Yep.
You should have been doing that.
I don't even know if that was right.
Come on, Chief Science Officer.
With the support of
Something like that.
General Motors, oil companies and car manufacturers, TEL went onto the market on February 1st, 1923 under the brand name Ethyl. GM and Standard Oil formed the Ethyl Corporation to handle manufacturing and sales, and Midgely became the vice president and served on the board of directors.
Of course he did.
Well, he's revolutionised oil, hasn't he?
Yeah, he stopped the knocking.
Car companies are like, well, great, now we can make better, bigger, more powerful engines, we can do a lot more, so it's progress, but it's also a massive step back because you're poisoning everybody.
Progress in the wrong direction.
Yeah. The Ethyl Corporation never mentioned lead when marketing though, and since the dangers of lead poisoning were well known. The corporation insisted that TEL was safe, but at the same time encountered their own dangerous episodes with the chemical. On October 1924, at the experimental plant in New Jersey, 5 workers died and 35 others experienced tremors, hallucinations and other symptoms of lead poisoning. Midgely himself had been poisoned by inhaling fumes of TEL and washing his hands in the stuff to demonstrate its safety. He ended up with lead poisoning, he had to go off work.
Yeah.
Go somewhere hot and sunny and recuperate.
When they're making the big proposal, he couldn't be there because he was on vacation because he was ill from lead poisoning.
Shit. And he still didn't go, excuse me, can't sell this. No?
Nope.
Just let it go ahead.
Yep.
So he really did know then.
He did know,
Yeah,
very much so.
There was no two ways he didn't
But
realise.
if he said anything, he wouldn't become vice president. He wouldn't have been on the board of directors.
You wouldn't have had all that lovely, lovely money.
Yeah. He would have to keep working to find a safe solution.
Instead, The incident did not prevent him from advocating for Ethel. Instead, he took the corporate position that workers didn't take proper precautions.
That's it, blame the workers.
So we all got lead poisoning because they...
Forced us. Well, they didn't force you, but they made you work in them conditions.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, I don't know if they've got masks, whether the masks were adequate or just the sheer amount of lead in the air. It wouldn't have made much fucking difference.
1924,
They're
they
not
didn't wear
having
masks.
They could have had gas
I'll
masks.
say they could have had
arguably.
respirators, worst
Could have
case.
done.
Primitive gas masks.
Would they have?
Probably not. They'd have probably just had something tied across, like a surgical mask tied
Mate,
across their face.
Let's
maybe.
face it, health and safety has been in the past 20, 30 years.
Oh god, it was non-existent.
So they didn't give a
People
fuck.
died at work all the time.
You've got workhouses, things like that was still a big thing in them days, so...
No, not 1924.
There was still plenty of workhouses still operational. It really was, up until after the Second World War, really. That was when they become completely obsolete then. They were still working around them times. So even at that point, it was still completely like, oh, we've lost another worker. Oh, fuck. They didn't really care. They didn't give a shit, did they?
In the late 40s, when my great uncle started work at 15, he was going to be a mining engineer. And his first day, he saw a bloke get fed through a machine.
Oh.
Fucking hell.
You know, he didn't go back after that.
I'm glad you said that.
You know, he became a different type of engineer, did an apprenticeship somewhere else. But yeah, there was no health and safety, there was no guards on machines, there was nothing.
No.
I mean, my granddad, he used to drive diggers and bulldozers and stuff like that. I'll guarantee you never passed a test.
No,
Can you get
not
in that?
back
This is pull that lever. There you go. Good lad. You can crack on.
then. Everything was passed down from, you know...
He was just trained on the job, you never had any formal
person to
qualification.
person, yeah.
David Rosner, a historian at Columbia University and co-author of Lead Wars, says Midgely had an enormous interest in self-delusion when it came to a product that he was so connected to. Of course he had an ethical dilemma. Whether he fooled himself, lied, or was just oblivious to what future generations would have to deal with is beyond me. The only self-defence you could give him is maybe he was thinking, well, it'll only be a short-term thing, we'll think of something better shortly. But the damage is still being done, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it took them 80 years to think of something better. Or best part of, anyway.
So in 1999 we stopped using leaded fuel in the UK. So every generation up to then has received lead poisoning.
Just through the cars.
Just through the cars.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
In the air we breathe.
Yeah.
Well, even
Well, we are
now...
part of it, aren't we then?
Yeah.
Even now, you still get leaded cars driving
No,
around.
they've just been stopped. 2021, Algeria was the last country to ban it.
Yeah, but don't they...
Oh, are you in classics?
You
Because
can
they've
have,
still got to run.
you
They'd have to run
classic
on.
cars, and they have to add the lead to it, don't
Oh,
they?
maybe then.
Yeah, but
I
people
believe-
don't drive them very often.
No,
They
no, but it does still exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for commercial use,
God, no. You don't
21st.
know, anyway.
And when you remember,
Algeria was the last.
at this point in the UK, there were no clean air laws.
No.
You know,
Smog was a huge thing.
that's it. Everyone's burning coal. They're driving around in lead-belching, carbon monoxide-belching cars. Christ, I'm surprised anyone made it past 50.
Even in a town of this size, smog would have been a thing.
Yeah.
This size and up, that'd be it.
Yeah, my dad used to say even in the 60s you get what they called pea super fogs, was when a particularly heavy fog came down and mixed with all the coal smoke. You literally couldn't see your hand in front of your face if you held it out at arm's length. It was that bad.
I mean, we live in the birthplace of industry.
Well,
coal,
yeah.
Yeah.
Think about coal smoke that's been pumped out into this particular part of the country where industry was literally invented. We had the Industrial Revolution right here in Telford.
Yeah.
Soil tests would show that probably,
Yeah.
wouldn't they?
My parents' house is built right next to old mines.
Yeah.
And yours?
Most of our houses are built on top of old mines. That's why it's all clay and that.
Yeah.
It's just, that's why there's been lots of roads collapsing, things like that around the area, because they're just not...
They weren't filled in properly, were they?
Not all of them.
They had to fill in when we were kids, didn't they? By
Yeah,
us?
they did, yeah.
We found one and it was
Yeah, there you go. Still happens.
quite
There
dangerous.
was one. There was one in Wellington 2-3 years ago, because it was up down Holly's Road, and one of these big holes just appeared in the road, and yeah, it was an old fucking.
Oh, well.
So for hundreds of years they had coal in the air, and then all of a sudden in the 20s, Have some lead as well.
Yeah, have some lead.
Yeah.
And remember, even in the 20s, there's still no air pollution acts. You know, first season of Peaky Blinders, they've just got furnaces next to the houses going off.
Yeah.
You know, and there's factories literally just down the road. On the road, workers live next door to it. I mean, it can't have been good. I'm surprised anyone lasted past 50.
I think they did have some, you know. I'm pretty sure I heard in Victorian times they did do something about the...
Well, they'll have
Probably,
noticed
yeah,
it getting
they-
worse and worse,
yeah.
won't they? Someone would have been
The smog in
documenting
London,
it, you
yeah.
know, because without somebody doing some research on it, we wouldn't have got to where we are today, would we?
No.
Isn't this why industry then became like they'd always have the weekends off? I believe they started having the weekends off to allow a bit of clear air to come through. I believe.
Could be.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that. Could be making that up. Could have dreamt it. But I'm sure I've heard that somewhere.
Maybe then, I don't know. But the scandal at the research plant prompted several states to ban TEL. But then the tide turned. The Federal Bureau of Mines released a study heavily influenced by corporate pressure, as you can well imagine, the oil industry for a start, which asserted that TEL was safe.
It is safe, I promise you. That was the sound of a gun.
Here, take this briefcase full of money. This and an aggressive marketing campaign established gasoline infused with TEL, leaded gasoline or leaded petrol, as the fuel of choice. And in the ensuing decades, lead exposure resulted in a string of health maladies, particularly among children. One recent study hypothesized that increased lead exposure may have contributed to the mid-20th century rise in crime.
How have they made that correlation?
Because, first of all, when you get lead poisoning, you lose certain connectors in your brain, and one of them is empathy. You also are more prone to violent outbursts, as well as being a little bit dumber.
Yeah.
Can't just blame the lead then. Because I'm old enough.
The graph, actually, all in America especially, virtually is almost identical. If you've got the rise in violent crime for the 70s, matches virtually the amount of lead in the air from cars.
Wow.
As it's obviously, in the 70s, cars became a bit more affordable. Everyone started buying more. And then you've got people who are using older cars, which belch out more smog.
They were being used more as
They
well.
were being used more. So it correlates. And it might go to some example as to why the boomer generation are more conservative, because they lose that sort of more empathy for people, because they have cognitive dissonance. They won't believe new evidence even when presented with it. Like, I had an interesting discussion with my dad who I said about this, and he was like, nope, didn't happen. Absolute rubbish. I said, all the information's on the internet, you can go and look up. Nope, no, I'm not going to do that.
What?
I said, well, wouldn't do it.
He blatantly just refused to believe it.
Sounds familiar, that doesn't.
What were you talking about this subject with?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, but I said, well, clearly your cognitive dissonance just proves that you've been lead poisoned over the years, doesn't it?
Wait, so why did they ban
Did you say that to him?
Yeah. I said, but don't worry, so have I.
But not as much as
You brought me into it.
If only I was born now.
That's why they have cognitive dissonance, you know, just to think that, you know, his dad has followed the rules, he's done what was asked of him, had a job, raised a family.
Bought an house, contributed to the economy.
And all along they were poisoning him with lead.
So what was his reason for, like it's
He
not sold anymore? What's he
thinks-
think about that?
He knew it was bad for the environment.
Right.
You'd accept that, but not to the extent that it was literally
Affecting people.
affecting generations of people.
But Dad, we live in the environment.
And I said, it's still in the atmosphere. I said, it's a heavy metal. It doesn't go
It
anywhere.
doesn't go anywhere, no.
It's a
It stays
heavy
in
metal.
your body, it stays there. And
Yeah,
it goes
it-
in the brain, that's where you have problems. It hampers learning and all this, and
Yeah.
it has been linked to IQ loss as well, hasn't it?
At 2.5 points it's taken a stone per person, average. Obviously averages are, they hide the extremes, so some people might have lost 10 points.
Right.
So this is
Some people
why
might have lost 2, some people might have lost half a point.
I shouldn't have been chewing pencils when I was a kid then.
No, they weren't lead.
They were when I was in primary
Oh,
school,
were they?
but it wasn't the actual, the core was graphite, it was lead in the paint on the pencil
On the
itself.
pencil.
I used to chew them. It's alright,
So did I.
fuck all to me.
So did I used to chew the pencil, yeah.
They had lead paint as well, didn't they?
Lead paint on
Yes.
everything. People's cots would be painted with lead paint.
Little lead die-cast.
I was just going to say that when we started Warhammer 40,000, they were all made of lead.
Huh. Giving them to the kids.
In
Yeah.
fact, I remember as a
Licking
kid
one.
biting bits off lead because it's very soft. You could bite it. And it was things like the models, lead fucking pellets you used to get for your
What are you biting
2.2s
them
and things
for?
like that. Your 2.2 air rifles.
What are you biting the bullet for?
No, not the bullet. I think.
But you're handling it,
Yeah,
and then
you
you
know how
might
soft
touch
they
your
are.
mouth, you might rub your eye, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden that
all
lead's
sorts.
in your system, isn't it? It's-
I've actually got a bit of lead in my hand. Genuinely, from when I was a kid, I was about 6 years old, I stabbed myself with a pencil, and that there is a tattoo that I've had since I was 6 years old. See that little black spot there?
Yeah.
That's where I stabbed myself with a
Well,
pencil.
with a little bit of carbon and that.
Well, who knows? But either way, it's been there.
Be graphite,
It's
wouldn't
been
it?
there for 34 years.
I suppose it's still coated in lead.
There could be some essence of
Yeah.
lead within it.
They only stopped having leaded pencils when we were kids. I think I might have had a few years of lead pencils in primary school.
I think if I'm 6, you're talking 88. That pencil could have been around for 5 years.
Just sat in a cupboard, who knows?
He could have been.
A Florida State University research team has published a new story that estimates...
He studied.
A new study?
He said story.
Oh, could be a story. What's a study but a factual story, Mike? He reckons that exposure to lead has robbed Americans on average 2.6 IQ points per person.
Well, at least it's just the Americans, eh?
No, we're affected as well.
Yeah, I know. That must be the lead.
To quote Michael McFarland, who's the Howard and Associate Professor of Sociology and the study's lead author, most of what we think of as the lost generation and the greatest generation and baby boomers had a moderate amount of lead exposure. Assistant Professor of Sociology Matt Howard said, Generation X was exposed to very high amounts of lead, and now millennials and the generation following them have been exposed to very low amounts of lead. That follows the trajectory of leaded gasoline use. Researchers found that the estimated lead-linked deficits were greatest for people born between 1966 and 1970, which is about a population of about 20.8 million people in America, which experienced an average deficit of 5.9 IQ points per person.
So we just missed it.
Yeah.
But it was coming down because you said in 1999.
They banned the use in 1999, but it was on the market
It
for
was, yeah,
probably
so
about 10
it was
years
going,
before.
It was going down, you know, in trajectory from when. From
So we had the
1970.
first 20 years of it for our lives, really, and after that it was pretty much getting outlawed and not seen as much anyway because it was all diesel and
Not
leaded.
many,
I was
not
born
many
in
people were using
1983.
4-star in 1999.
No.
Everyone had pretty much bought an unleaded car at
That's
that
what I
point,
mean.
hadn't
It was
they?
either
Yeah.
diesel or unleaded.
Yeah.
If you could get a turbo diesel, you had a turbo
Yeah.
diesel. You wouldn't buy a normal diesel because they had no power. But
I think in 1987 they stopped selling cars in this country that required.
Yeah, you might have been right there.
Can you
yeah.
remember the fuel prices back then as well? Because I fucking can.
No.
I remember 49p a litre for my first litre of fuel for my motorbike that I had when I was 16. 49p a litre.
Wow.
And that was expensive because there'd been increases not long prior to that.
Oh, you're cutting the oil companies that are making money on 4-star. You've got to fucking throw a few quid to make up for that, haven't you?
Well, it used to cost me a fiver to fill my tank, and I had
yeah.
a 10 litre tank.
I remember when there was
Oh,
protests when it went over £1 a litre. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
blockaded all the-
Everyone went
Oh,
ape
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And for anybody not in the UK, I don't know how much you've been affected by recent things in Russia, but our fuel prices have gone up from £1.20, £1.30 at the most, to £1.80, £1.90.
Well,
So
in America it's a lot cheaper anyway.
Yeah.
They've had a price increase recently, though.
Yeah,
It's not as cheap for them anymore. They've
that's
had
how
to
much-
really hit on it.
Yeah.
This is why we don't have V8s in this country, because we can't afford
They've got to afford to
No,
run them.
no
We
way.
can't afford to run them. And even before these price hikes that we've had recently, we can't afford to run them because it's, like I say, it's over £1 a
So
litre.
what's 179 English into dollars?
Oh,
It's
it
about
doesn't matter anyway.
$2.20 probably.
That amount of lead exposure was through automotive exhaust, and thanks to the use of leaded gasoline, this intervening 7 decades is where the lead's damage is most pronounced. The researchers used publicly available data from the National Centre for Health Studies and the US Geological Survey, and a standard deviation for IQ points over that period of time is about 15 points.
Wow.
So that's going from being average smart to being a bit, hey you guys.
If you've got an IQ of 90, which is considered pretty good, and you drop down to 75, that makes you a bit less good.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
To put it
Well,
mildly.
Pretty much what I said.
Yeah.
You worked that all out on your own?
I mean, but that's going from like an A grade or a B grade to a D or an E.
Yeah.
But if you think about it like this,
So
right,
look at it that way as well. I didn't want to say anything that might be considered offensive.
you say you got a genius that's like 150 IQ, and then brings them down to 135, they're no longer classed as a genius.
Well, they might not have that necessary IQ power to invent, I don't know, the warp drive.
Yeah.
They might be 15 IQ points short of making that
See,
fucking equation.
Look how it has affected us. We could have had time travel from now. We could have.
And I mean, that's just the.
I don't know if we
least of
could, but
problems.
maybe, who knows?
That's just the least of problems.
Yeah,
Think anything
yeah.
this is killing.
I know, yeah.
Lead is a known neurotoxin.
Yeah.
Yeah. It enters the bloodstream, it's inhaled as dust or ingested or consumed in water. Once it's in the bloodstream, it's able to pass into the brain through the blood-brain barrier, which is quite good at keeping a lot of toxicants and pathogens out of the brain, but not all of them.
The body can defend itself against lead, but not to the extent that we're being given it.
Is it carcinogenic or anything?
Been linked to changes in personality, premature brain aging, anemia, kidney damage, cardiovascular disease, and harm to pregnant women and developing children.
So it's not linking
No.
it to cancer in any way.
No, it's
Pretty
just
bad though.
it's just killing you with everything else. Lead's use was not confined to gasoline, obviously, as we mentioned earlier. We've got it at the pipes.
Lead pipes.
Lead pipes.
For our water and stuff.
Yeah, it's left waterways, soil, airways, and homes enriched with this neurotoxicant. The legacy continues to threaten the health and development of today's children. Less obvious but also important is the threat that lead holds for yesterday's children, many of whom are victims of what we term legacy lead exposures. And the reality is that the effects of lead will be felt for generations. So we have actually put ourselves back in terms of intelligence and health, and
now we've got plastics in these forever chemicals.
and then we've got plastics and forever chemicals. So we haven't learned. We haven't learned from this at all. They just move the focus of their profiteering.
Being a mass murderer, it's not like he's killed
Gone out.
people instantly.
Gone out
He's-
with a machete.
He's shortened people's lives dramatically,
Yeah, and made their lives harder because
Yeah.
they're not as smart.
and they're going to struggle more in society.
And how many lives have been cut short because of illnesses caused by lead poisoning?
Yeah.
Even of a slight, not obvious it's lead poisoning, but they've had some of these other kidney damage, cardiovascular disease, things like that would have been emphasised and brought
Yeah.
on by this
Probably a lot of
slight bit of lead
miscarriages and
poisoning.
things like that,
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think he's probably responsible for a lot more than you'd ever imagine.
Yeah.
Well, we'll never know the figure.
No.
That's the point. But you
Yeah.
can rest assured that it's a lot higher than anyone that's ever committed a
It's,
genocide.
it's probably a percentage of all people that have died in the past 80 years. It's probably that great, isn't it?
That's it.
He's probably up there with the cigarette makers and the, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
people who make weapons manufacturers, it's got to be up there.
Well, across the globe, less people have died in war than they have from heart attacks and kidney failure, anemia, brain aging. I mean, someone has an heart attack young, could have been the lead, you don't know.
And it could be causing all this dementia.
Yeah.
Dementia's on the rise, why is that?
Which
Well, there's
robs-
got to be something, hasn't there? And people get dementia, you
Yeah.
get dementia
It'd be
younger
interesting
now.
to see the dementia numbers after like lead, was stopped being used.
Yeah, but it's because it comes on in an old age, there would be a lag, wouldn't there?
Yeah, there's going to be a lag, but
Yeah.
a longitudinal study into that,
Yeah.
that will show, if it is linked to, those,
See, I'm
or
seeing
if
here.
we're just living longer and those things are happening and we're having
People are getting it younger as well, aren't they?
yeah.
I've just seen here though a bit of a solution, and I don't know. And I'm wondering whether this is already a known solution because of things that you give the people that suffer from these ailments. So you look at these premature brain aging, anemia, kidney disease, cardiovascular disease, pregnant fucking women. What is suggested for each of those? Iron. Iron is suggested for all of those things. I guarantee you that now.
So we need to dose people up with iron.
Well,
To combat the lead.
for what I'm looking at there, each
I
of
don't know,
those.
I'm not a doctor, so
each
I
of those, I'm telling you now, the treatment.
Yeah, but
for
it doesn't
those
reverse it.
because this is no, but
The damage is there. You've got a weaker heart now.
Yeah.
but you know they say pregnant women should drink a bit of stout,
They do say that,
and it's because of the iron.
but it's like,
in it.
but it's
They
women
also-
still miscarry even if they drink all the stout.
Yeah.
The stout they drink all the
Because
technically
they're
iron.
drinking 10
That's
pints of
because they're
stout.
drinking too much.
Just
Yeah.
stout.
But no, anemia. You'd have iron tablets to combat anemia.
Yeah.
Kidney damage
It does-
as well.
Like Ben
because
saying, the
it's-
damage is already done. You're just lessening the effects of it,
but
aren't you?
isn't it weird that how you're taking one element of metal
Yeah, to combat
and
another.
to combat the effects of that,
Yeah.
you're having another element of metal instead. Obviously, iron's clearly better for you because iron is within your blood anyway.
Just remember, all this stuff's still in the air now. We're all still breathing it.
It's just gone down.
It's just gone down a bit, but it's
Yeah.
still there. It's not lingering around as much as it was, but it's
Maybe
still
we should
there.
start taking iron tablets.
It's in the water, the soil, so it's in the food we eat as well, isn't it? And the water we drink.
God,
Like I
the
said
chemist-
earlier, you take a soil sample. I
Yeah.
bet you'd find if
They
you
did. The
it-
guy called Clair Patterson did. He was taking soil samples trying to figure out how old the Earth is. The one was doing.
spelt the same way as her, Claire,
is,
as
yeah.
well, and I thought, Claire's got a boy's name. Because this guy's like 100 years old, so...
No, he started work at the Manhattan Project. So he started work. He was a teenager in 1942, something like that. Clair Patterson, but yeah, he figured out that the amount of lead, because he was trying to age. They're looking at uranium, which ends up being lead. Right, through 12 separate decompositions, uranium ends up being lead. And he was like, the guy doing the uranium measurements was getting his spot on. Yeah, this is how much uranium there should be. He was doing the lead, and his measurements were well over. And he was doing this all in a clean room. He invented the clean room to do these experiments in. And he was way over, and the only thing he could put it down to was the amount of lead that's got into the ground. The water table
Yeah.
got under into the soil where we grow our crops. It doesn't go away.
Yep.
It's almost like an increase in exponentially. Like,
So
there's
they're
no stopping
totally
it.
airborne then.
And it's not gone away because in Flint, Michigan,
Not yet. Well, it's in the water, in the food as well. The plant will take it up into its.
yeah, then the plant
Leaves
might get
things.
eaten by us or get eaten by a cow. It goes into the cow's body. We
Yeah.
eat the cow. It's into us.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? If it's within the earth and the soil and the water,
The food cycle, isn't
That's
it? The
it,
water
it's done.
cycle.
Yeah.
So,
let alone still being a bit airborne, probably.
Yep, the lead.
Right,
The lead's killing us all.
Send him to prison, the murdering bastard.
So the lead is poisoning everybody and making us dumber and more violent and killing us at a younger age. And his next problematic invention was CFCs. And they were developed to solve a long-standing problem with early refrigerators that were extremely unsafe.
Well, like blocks of ice, is that what they're talking about? That
Well,
sounds
no,
like an
the-
early
the-
refrigerator to me.
No, the best early refrigerants were ether and ammonia, which were both flammable. Using
Lovely.
those gases in the fridge. Explains Tom Jackson, author of Chilled, How Refrigeration Changed the World, and might do so again. I bet that's a thrilling fucking read. Jackson describes how an industrial-scale refrigerator on display at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair caught fire and eventually exploded, killing 17 firefighters.
Fucking hell. That's quite tragic, that. 17
Yeah.
blokes getting killed.
The
Quite an
domestic
explosion.
The domestic refrigerators that followed around 30 years later used sulfur dioxide, which, although not flammable, was highly toxic, and leaks of this gas killed families in their sleep.
Fucking hell.
Shit.
So he's adding up the corpses then?
no,
now?
this was before him.
Oh, right.
This was before him.
These are the first fridges in
Right,
the home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with you. Yeah, sorry.
I thought you'd like that bit. That book, Chilled, How Refrigeration Changed the
It,
World.
it sounds a bit dull though, doesn't it? A history of the refrigerator.
I know, yeah, but you just like beer. Surely it did change the world when it was cold.
That's true, otherwise we'd all be drinking warm brown beer.
Yuck.
Yeah.
GM's refrigerator division, Frigidaire, had been showing losses for years, and Midgely, with a team of scientists, undertook a search for a non-toxic, non-flammable refrigerant, and in 1930 they found a solution in dichlorofluoromethane.
Dichloro-difluoromethane.
Yeah,
That's the
it.
one. Which they sold under the brand new name of Freon 12. And this was the world's first CFC. And to demonstrate its safety, Midgely inhaled the stuff and blew out a candle. You'd think he'd really learn his lesson after the lead poisoning. But it is non-toxic to him, I guess.
Luckily.
Or isn't it? I don't know. It's just killing the environment.
Well, freon gas isn't good, is it? Because that's why you have to have fridges disposed of properly, because they still have the freon gas in.
But
Yeah.
wasn't it only going round the tubes in the back of the fridge?
Yeah.
It's only an issue when you unsafely get
Yeah,
Get
if
rid of him.
you're unsafe,
But you have
dispose
leaks
of it.
as well. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
killing the old one was killing families in their sleep.
Freon
Yeah.
gas doesn't do that. Like.
No,
No.
freon
Yeah,
is
the
harmless
freon.
to us, but it does something else to
It's
the
not.
atmosphere.
It's not
Yeah.
good to the
The ozone layer.
ozone.
Yeah.
That's it. Freon caught on and became ubiquitous in refrigerators, cooling units and aerosol spray cans as propellants. Now, what Midgely did not know is that CFCs deplete the Earth's ozone layer, which protects life from ultraviolet and other forms of radiation. Even worse, CFCs are a super greenhouse gas which contributes to global warming and climate change at a much greater rate than even carbon dioxide.
So actually, then the cause of global warming was in the 80s, with all the fucking people walking around with spray cans in their hands, graffitiing all over the place.
Yeah, and fridges not being got rid of properly. Because they wouldn't have, would they? They'd just gone, oh, throw that one in the pile.
Yeah. And then it
Yeah,
makes-
And of course, without the ozone layer, that's in radiation, ultraviolet light. It's just,
Everyone's getting skin cancer.
yeah, just
Luckily-
cells, isn't it?
Luckily, it's healed.
It is
luckily.
healing, yes.
Luckily.
It's a lot smaller than it was.
It's almost
Yeah.
completely healed
Yeah,
now,
it
I
has,
believe.
yeah. But I mean, I let him off on this one a little bit. He didn't know.
How could he test that? I was just having.
No, that's it.
With the Freon, he's inhaled it. He's gone, look, it's fucking safe. It's not flammable.
And it's
There
not
you
killing
go.
families in their sleep when it leaks, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And he didn't know that. He
No.
did know the lead, though, didn't he?
He knew the lead.
Yeah.
This one's a little unlucky. In the short term, guy's fucking done a great service in
He was
humanity.
trying
yeah?
his hardest.
Yeah. He's trying to redeem himself for the lead poisoning.
Unfortunately, he almost destroyed life on Earth as we know it.
Yeah.
It would have been a consequence if the ozone layer had gone completely.
If we hadn't had the lead poison, do you think we'd have found out about it faster? Because we would have been smarter.
Possibly.
Extra 15 IQ. Fucking hell.
Even though CFCs like Freon were banned or severely restricted, starting with the Montreal Protocol in 1987, they linger in the atmosphere. And according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, CFCs have an atmospheric lifespan of up to 140 years.
At least we've still got another 120 years of it then.
Yeah, so it's fully healed, yeah.
Yeah. And then, obviously, as we mentioned a second ago, Lord Midgely won almost every prestigious award in his profession. The William Gibbs Medal, the Nichols Medal, the Priestley Medal, and the Perkin Medal. I guess all those are chemistry awards.
I imagine.
And aside from Tell and Freon, Midgely also held about 170 other patents. And it's only in the recent decades the damaging consequences of his inventions became known.
His other patents were sawn-off shotgun.
Repeating sawn-off shotgun. Probably some form of neotoxic chemical weapon.
An NBC suit that inside is where the actual chemicals are that kill you.
The charcoal.
An NBC suit made out of lead.
Now, in 1940, Midgely contracted polio and was paralysed. Now, ever the inventor, he developed a harness system of ropes and pulleys to help him manoeuvre and get out of bed. In an ironic twist, his invention strangled him to death on November the 2nd, 1944.
Stupid deaths, hope next time it's not you.
I was just imagining some Wallace and Gromit type. You know, he's got the pulleys and that.
Yeah.
He comes out of bed, but
It's the wrong trousers, Gromit!
It's the wrong pulley.
So he
Strangled him,
died
bless him.
without knowing the damage he'd done.
He was going for auto asphyxiation.
Do you think he'd rigged up a wank machine?
That's what he was doing. That's what he was
So,
doing.
oh, I think I'll have the noose today. Slipped it over. Like, in the machine just went a bit haywire and choked him too hard, but came and went at the same time.
Is that what they call it?
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
That's the one. Yeah, that's what he was going for. You know a lot about that, Ben, clearly. I'll never could strangle me.
Rumours on the Dory Strangler are completely unfounded.
Oh, shit. He did say he was bald, actually.
Could be anyone.
About 6 foot.
No, that's not me.
I'm joking. There is no such thing.
There is no such
There's
thing.
the Dorley Morley.
Is there?
Is there?
It was my friend's dad.
Alright.
Go on.
Come on.
Yeah, we-
Can't just leave it at that. What did he do?
Well, remember Luke? It was his dad. He was just like he was just a like, terrible man. We used to call him the terrible man because he'd just come on to anything and everything.
Oh, right, he wasn't arrested for sex crimes.
No, but
He died
was.
8 years ago anyway, didn't he?
Yeah, he was the Dorley Morley. You know,
He died
was.
about 15 years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, but you know, in the pubs, you know,
He's well known.
yeah, well known, taking the
Watch
women.
him when he's had a few. He'll try and grab your boobs.
No,
kind of
but
thing.
he was always suited and booted, looked really like, you know, and he had that like, old sort of bit of an English accent with a bit of Dorley as well.
What was his last name?
Cheshire.
I think I might know you on a bit, actually.
Yeah, he was the Dorley Morley.
Yeah. think
You'll be
I
having tampons up your arse by the end of the week.
Back to lead and CFCs. I think the lead's the big one. The CFCs, we'll do that one first. Alright, not really his fault. People aren't dying in their sleep or having fires in their homes and dying from that. He doesn't know that these things deplete the ozone layer. I doubt anyone knew what the ozone layer was in 1930-something, 1932.
You could put that one down to ignorance.
We'll put that one down to ignorance.
I think he was just
Unlucky.
Unlucky with that one.
He was a scientist trying to, you know, look at ways to help refrigeration.
Trying to better the world, I think he was trying to do.
Because a lot of it might be trial and error. Oh, if we put, you know, this gas and this gas, or
Of course it is.
Yeah.
you know,
It's all trial and
tweak
error.
this compound, or you know, and then that he come up with what's it called, fluoride?
Dichloro.
Yeah.
Freon.
I didn't get it right first time.
Freon as we know it.
Freon.
Come up with a freon, you know, by
Well,
trial and error.
We're still using it 80 years later, so Freon is
Yeah.
obviously the best.
No, we don't
method.
use it now, do we?
Yeah, in your
It's-
fridge.
they
That's
just-
why.
CFCs,
No,
isn't it? No, we don't use it now.
No, you still use Freon.
It's a different type of Freon.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure it's still Freon.
I know that
which is why you can't dispose of fridges.
Fridges have to be disposed of correctly. You have to take them to the tip or the local skip to get them disposed of correctly, to be recycled correctly. So maybe they utilise the gas.
I thought they'd stopped using it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
they've
I think
stopped
they've
it.
stopped using it, and
They had to because it was destroying the
Yeah,
ozone
you
layer.
must have, because you don't get it. You don't get it in
Because
spray cans
you
anymore,
used-
do you?
when you move a fridge freezer back in the day, wouldn't you like so say you lay it down to get it to the destination in the truck, the car, or whatever. When you got it to the place, you had to leave it for X amount of hours standing upright, so everything would, all the gases, and because it's all liquid based as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but now you don't have to do that, and you can turn it on straight away. So I'm assuming, you know, I
Yeah, I
don't
think
think
they've
it's in the
stopped
back
it
of it
now.
anymore. I think it's something else.
Yeah, but Pete's a fact checker here.
So
Yeah,
it is tetrafluorothane.
It's not the same
something, it's
stuff.
not the same. Yeah.
No.
It'll just be a tweak, and it'll be non-harmful to the atmosphere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if it comes out, you know, you still got to get rid of your fridge and freezers properly.
You can't just dump it on the roadside.
No.
But if you have a fridge that's probably over 20 years old, which some people do still have,
They do,
that would
yeah.
more than likely still have the Freon gas
Yes,
in.
more than likely.
But yeah, it's not used anymore.
So we'll let him
Freon's
off with that
still
one,
used.
shall we?
We've got to let him off.
because he didn't know.
Not
I
the
mean,
lead.
no one knew what the ozone layer was at that point as well. Let's face it. We are reversing it. It is more than it was, so we'll give him a pass on the CFCs.
We've still got the
lead. This is the big
and
one.
we've still got the CFCs is still in the atmosphere a bit. Until not at 140 years, so it's still contributing to global warming.
It is. It is.
At least for the 120 years, so
But the hole is smaller.
the hole is smaller.
And
yeah.
we're not pumping anymore, right?
Well,
Yeah.
since they stopped using it in late 90s, wasn't it? Like the CFCs got boycotted like that.
They were being boycotted by some firms before, weren't they?
Yeah.
As soon as the evidence was linked, a lot of firms stopped using them anyway.
1994 was free on gas in fridges. So there you go.
Yeah.
So in that 28 years,
Did a lot of
it
damage
has
in 28 years.
repaired.
Yeah.
It has repaired a lot in 28 years.
Yeah, but it's still in the atmosphere and it's still contributing to global warming.
Yeah,
Yeah, still doing the damage.
For another 120 years.
But the severe thing at the time was the ozone.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that was the immediate
ozone,
danger,
Yeah,
yeah.
and luckily that's repaired itself
Yeah.
quite well, really. I think better than they ever expected it to, because I think it surprised a lot of scientists.
The hole
fact
wasn't
that it
over
is-
us, was it?
Nah, wasn't it at the poles?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
thought it was at the poles. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. I genuinely
Think
I
the
couldn't
poles,
But we
tell
don't
you
really
where
want it
was.
there, you know, because if more heat and radiation's getting in, that's melting our ice,
Yeah.
isn't it? And our water supply.
What will we use for drinks?
Yeah.
Where's that Evian going to come from?
France.
All right.
Yeah, the Simpsons thing where Bobo the bear ends up in the bag of ice.
Mm.
And he's like, you've got to start getting a cheaper way to get ice. We lost 12 men on this expedition. He's like, you've got to start selling it for more than $1 a bag. He goes, well, if you can think of a better way to get ice, I want to hear it. And he's like, oh, you got me there. These guys chipping away at ice, bringing it over
That's
the
what they
bag.
used to do, yeah. Big blocks of ice.
Yeah.
So
We'll give a pass on this.
give him a pass on that. Still bad,
Yeah, oh yeah, shit, yeah.
but he had a pass he didn't know.
The lead.
The lead. The lead's the big one, isn't it?
He
I mean,
just found out at the last minute, and then he was.
No, because
balls
everybody
deep.
knew that lead was harmful.
yeah, everyone knew.
But they said, oh, it's only small amounts, it won't matter, it'll be unnoticeable. They lied.
But they didn't count. Well, maybe the stats at the time said, yeah, it'll be okay because there's that many cars on the roads.
Yeah, they weren't expecting.
But then all of a sudden you get to 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. Fuck me, the amount of cars on the road pretty triples in that time.
More
and
than that.
and the
More
American
than that.
cars in particular, a big, usually V8 gas guzzlers. A pickup truck is the most common car in America. Ford sells something like 120 of them every minute.
When did he
It's
invent?
ridiculous.
When did he invent
An hour.
lead? 20 what?
4.
24, right? You'd think there'd have been a handful of cars in a village in 1924. In any country, really. Most countries didn't have cars then.
London buses are still going around, remember this time. You got London public transport, you got buses in the cities.
But-
we're after First World War, and a lot of things got mechanised because horses couldn't cope with the mud.
Yeah, but what my
The
point
cars-
is that it went from a few houses within
Yeah.
a village would have a car to every single house had a car in
Sometimes
the
two.
70s.
Well, especially in America where you driver's ed, you can drive at 17, 18,
Younger
15,
than that, 15.
15.
Yeah.
What I mean by finding out at the last minute is like he thought it was going to be really minimal amounts, and then just didn't realise how fast it was going to.
Well, if you'd have
top off,
calculated
you know.
it at that
Well, he
time,
didn't because he
it
died
would
in
have been-
1944, so he had no idea how many cars ended up on the road.
But if you'd done the calculations at the time, it would have been probably quite minimal, but then 30, 40 years' time,
I'm not trying to let him
it
off.
had times
Yeah,
itself by like 50 or 100.
But don't
then-
forget World War II, where every single airplane, tank,
Think how many emissions that created
truck,
in itself.
jeep,
Yeah.
on both sides,
Boats.
the boats are diesel powered, yeah. So think how much lead is being pumped out alone in World War II, and the amount of guys, right, that are next to those engines in the engine room of a World War II battleship with the big diesel chugging engines. They're maintaining them. I guarantee the fumes weren't exactly fantastically controlled in there.
No.
Plus all the stuff that's belching out the top that the guys behind and the ship behind several miles down the road are breathing in.
I think
All
he
the
should-
tanks are advancing along up the side and belching out their diesel exhausts.
I think he should have just pushed forward to, past the lead. Really, shouldn't he?
It was a cheap, easy fix though, wasn't it?
Yep.
That's what it boils down to. It's a
Money.
cheap, easy fix, solves the engine problem, they can get more power, better performance, they last longer. That's it, then the money's rolling in.
Yeah.
And the money blinds him to it.
Yeah.
And the prestige. Because he got a lot of rewards and
Well, yeah.
recognition for it.
But also remember that
Became vice president.
the people, certain states stopped saying, no, we don't want that. They were overruled by a federal authority who said, no, it's safe, don't worry about it.
Because they were probably in the pockets of the oil companies, weren't they?
Well, they were
That's
getting
it.
prodded and
Yeah.
bribed
It's
here,
all
left,
corrupt,
right,
isn't
and
it?
centre, weren't
Corporate
they?
Everything's
pressure.
changed.
But that is where it's like the worst part of the system we have, the capitalist system. That is the worst part of it, where it's profit over people's health.
It just muscles through, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it always.
Throws everything
Yeah.
out the window,
But you've got to
doesn't
think, well, if you
It costs
know
money
it,
to test these things for...
if you knowingly put a product onto the market that you know is going to really harm people, what kind of sociopath are you?
I think
How
that's
much
why-
lead poison have you had?
And how much lead poisoning have you had? Well, clearly he had a fair bit because he gave himself lead poisoning.
Well, that's why things have become more stringent now, aren't they? You know, procedures of looking into and investigating the long-term
It
outcomes.
still happens though, because...
Well, look at
Well,
the,
yeah, we've
the
got
past couple of years.
Look,
Yeah.
at the
COVID
cladding
jabs.
on Grenfell.
Yeah.
cladding, yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, we're fine, don't worry about it.
The forever chemicals you have on your pans, the non-stick, the Teflon.
Mm.
They knew for years, but they have,
I've got a flamethrower in the Sorry if you heard that, guys.
you know, they got high-paid lawyers, sort of block these things in the courts for years.
Yeah, well they just keep on selling the
Look
product.
at Roundup.
Yeah. Of course,
That's a
cancer,
weed
didn't
killer
it?
for people who don't live in the UK. Roundup, yeah, had
Yeah,
carcinogens.
they did it in America as well.
Did
There's
they?
a lot of big lawsuits about Roundup in America.
Yeah. And our councils have been using it for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to fucking snort that stuff.
Well, you know, if we've all gone, it could be as simple as rolling. You know, anyone rolled down a hill as a kid. You know.
That's it. It's just been, I don't know, sprayed that morning by the council.
Yeah, the weeds have all been sprayed, and your kids are all rolling down the hill through the grass. Whee!
Yep.
And cancer rates are on the rise, and it is literally the food we eat and the air we breathe and the water we drink. It's all bad for us. It's all polluted with these chemicals we've been pumping into the sea and the rivers and the water table and everything. I know this sounds like a bit of a hippie rant, like, well, we need to stop polluting, but yeah, we really do, because it's going to kill us as a species. And you have to look at it as it's the species we need. We don't
Killing
need
the
to be
biosphere, you know about the species, you're killing the environment.
killing the environment. I'd like the human race to survive.
Yeah, it needs an environment to survive in.
Exactly, yes. We're killing the environment and we're killing ourselves.
Yeah.
And you've got to realise that money's not worth it, haven't you?
You'd think, wouldn't you? We never learn, do we?
I mean, he's taken 15 points off the human IQ. What could we have achieved? Why do people believe the Earth's
I could have been a super genius!
maybe? People in this day and age think the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
You know, clearly we've got dumber.
I know people that think
The
the Earth
amount
is
of
flat.
daft shit that we now think that we never used to. Is this the reason? Is the reason we're more violent as a species? I mean, the serial killer surge in 1970s America massively correlates to the graph of lead in the air.
Anybody seen the film Idiocracy?
Yes. Yeah.
We did an episode on it, yeah.
I was going to say, if
Yeah.
you've not done an episode on that, we should.
Yeah, sorry, done.
Damn.
Yeah.
Brilliant
Do you know?
film.
Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. You're
Yeah.
fucking us. You're fucking us all. It's not just the poor. It's you as well. It's your kids.
All for greed.
Just so you can have a bit of a better life while you're here. It's
Constantly.
mental. It's mental, and this is proper picking the bones of humanity. Vulture
It's a
capitalism.
system,
It's
isn't
terrible.
it? The system. It doesn't just support it, promotes it. Profit over everything.
Yeah.
That's the
Demands
problem, isn't
it.
it? In this scenario, it's profit over everything, and it just
It's also in the planet as a resource, just to be used,
and that's
to gain profit out of.
and you know that's the worst of it. You know, you fucking crippled us for a few generations.
There's no going back
It's
though.
going to take us time to get back to where we were.
But even then, surely by that point, we're all passing on genes that are less intelligent anyway. So surely
That's
in
it.
that in itself,
I think it's more environment, isn't it?
perhaps
I would
I
say.
don't know.
Yeah, you're still getting as a kid. I mean, even now in America, Flint, Michigan, kids are drinking lead-infused water because the car manufacturing plant down the road didn't like the water it was being given. So they had the fresh water, which is used to the town, and gave the town the shitty water. It's all polluted with lead.
Yep.
The kids are drinking it. They've noticed that intelligence rates amongst the kids are dropping rapidly.
Yeah, it's still happening today, as we speak.
It's mental. Just so you can sell a few more cars. It's not worth it, is it?
That reminds me of the Erin Brockovich
Mm.
film.
Evan Titywitch.
Mm. Where they were all drinking the contaminated water, weren't they? And all
Exactly.
cancer rates went through the roof.
Yep. Michael Clayton, have you seen that?
I haven't seen that one.
George Clooney is a lawyer. That's about the forever chemicals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Trying to fight DuPont, who made the Teflon.
Right.
They're still making Teflon.
Yep.
So there you go. Hope you haven't got too much lead in your system.
If you got some lead in your pencil, that's fine.
Oh, you stole it from Claire, so you don't get the crown.
Oh.
That was not pretty natural, though. I was. Never mind.
She had it lined up. She picked her moment.
And Pete stole it.
You can delete that out and you can have it.
No.
It's not organic.
I didn't even think about that. Sorry, this is all came to my
You're a
mind.
fucking Amber Heard, you are.
Sorry. Didn't mean to steal your bit.
Fucked up facts.
Fucked up facts.
Theme tune, please.
Facts.
Facts.
Facts. Fucked up facts. Get with the facts. Fucked up facts.
What was that?
I don't know. I was just jigging him on a bit.
She
He's
broke
like,
into like almost a strut when she did that.
just jigging him on a bit. He didn't seem that enthusiastic.
I was trying to get over my little cough I had earlier. Yeah, fucked up facts.
Try that again.
No, I like that
That'll do.
version.
Yeah.
I like it.
Funked up a bit. I liked it.
I'm gonna keep Claire's vocal solo in there. Go on then, Mike. Hit us with some knowledge.
Well, apparently 97% of people are currently keeping a secret.
Yeah, of course they are. Yeah.
I wasn't until yesterday.
Why, what was your secret?
I wasn't going to tell Jamie about that money my mum was going to give me, and then I was going to sort of like, because he was going to pay it back, I was going to take him off the cash and then book a holiday. Not just for me, for all of us, you know, but I told him in the end, I was just like, I'll tell him what the crack is. So, yeah, I'm one of the 3% that haven't got a secret.
Okay.
I don't think I've got a secret.
Yeah, I've got one.
Ooh.
It's only a minor one, but it's someone I can't tell you. Someone told me something in confidence. I can't say. So no. Yeah, I'm keeping a
You
secret.
got a secret?
Not that I know of.
So you're one of the 3% with me.
There could be something I've just misremembered, probably.
You don't remember anything. You're like a goldfish, mate.
I know.
That's why your Jedi training hasn't progressed.
That's it. Apparently, swearing was illegal in England from 1695 to 1746. Well, fuck
Of course
me.
it was. Do you know why? It's Oliver Cromwell, isn't it?
Ah,
It's the
yeah.
Puritans. There's no swearing.
Yeah.
Couldn't swear in public.
Good point.
Britain's under puritanical dictatorship.
Probably get hanged for it as well.
I don't know if you hang for it, but
It wouldn't surprise me in them days. Bit harsh, wasn't it?
yeah, they were a bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're called Puritans for a reason. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think they had Christmas as well.
No.
they didn't.
They cancelled Christmas.
They didn't like any frivolities, did they?
No.
Excuse me, sorry, hay fever.
You lead a simple Christian life, but you do get a hat with a buckle on it.
No, I've always wanted one of them.
Uh,
Yes. They did look like Egypt.
Then they all went to
didn't they?
America.
Yeah, and then made them all
Pure.
pure.
Puritan.
There's a strange law for the next fact.
Okay.
Until 2018, it was illegal to sell cold beer in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Whoa.
Heathens, yeah.
Weird. Imagine the pub trade didn't do great because everyone would just be like, oh man, I can't wait to get home and have a cold beer.
I don't get that.
Maybe it's one of the places that were like, we're not having any of your fucking refrigeration units.
Oh, maybe.
Oklahoma. I'm trying to think where Oklahoma is.
Midwest, innit? It's one of the newer states. It was like the settled and
Warm. Is it warm there?
I think it's the farm belt, innit?
Yeah,
In the
I think so.
Midwest, so it's like temperate, I guess. Hot, cold. Winters are going to be hard. Summers will be great.
I don't get that. Till what?
I could be wrong. American listeners, feel free to correct me. What state was it again?
It's Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
It's not a state, is it?
I know there's a musical about it. Other than that, I'm pretty sure it's Midwest. Yeah, I could be wrong. American listeners, you can correct me. Feel free.
It's in the middle somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, there we go.
Darth Vader's heavy breathing is trademarked.
So no one do it. No, don't do it. That's pay Disney.
That's his hay fever.
From now on, there are no more Darth Vader
Oh
impressions.
shit!
Because
I did one earlier.
from now on.
How ridiculous!
I know, yeah. Each day in the UK, Heinz sells almost exactly 10 baked beans for each Brit.
Wow, every day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of beans. That's
It's
what
a lot of
600 million beans.
Something like that, yeah. Every day. Christ, who grows all them beans? Think of how many tomatoes that is for the sauce. Think of how many beans.
The more you eat, the more you... No, beans, good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. The more you fart, the better you feel. Sweet your beans with every meal.
Lovely.
Bean shill! You've bought a big bean, aren't you?
There's the American version, which is... Beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot.
That was from The Simpsons, yeah. I fucking hate Heinz beans.
No, they're not the best, are they?
Horrible.
No,
Sauce is too
Branston's
thin.
better.
Branston are better.
Branston.
Branston beans are better.
With a little bit of butter.
Oh yeah, always put a bit of butter on the beans.
Just Aldi beans.
They're not too
No,
bad.
they're alright,
No, they're
Yeah.
okay. They're better than Heinz.
Yeah, I don't like them at all.
Heinz have like watered themselves down, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've taken a lot of the sugar out, I think, haven't they?
Like, well, beans are surprisingly high in sugar. There's your diabetes uptake, people. Low sugar beans do taste alright though.
Yeah.
Though I did have some Heinz tartar sauce I was
It's like
disappointed
Diet
with
Coke,
the other week.
which isn't right.
Apart from the fact you suck your teeth when you drink Coke.
Well,
That's always a bonus.
James Doohan, the actor for Star Trek's Scotty, was given an honorary doctorate by the Milwaukee School of Engineering after nearly half the student body cited him as their inspiration for pursuing engineering.
Nice.
Oh, ace.
Also a World War II vet.
Cool.
And he had his ashes shot into space.
Oh.
so the original Scotty.
The original Scotty, yeah. Yeah, he had his ashes shot into space on a rocket.
That's right. That wasn't that long ago, actually, was it?
You're probably talking 10 years ago now, I think. In fact, I think it was recently, the 10th year anniversary of that, of his passing. Seems to recall seeing in a Star Trek group I'm in.
Oh, well, I'm thinking of Captain James T. Kirk, aren't I?
No, Shatner's still alive, yeah.
No, but his ashes basically got shot out to space, didn't they? The other month.
Well, yeah. What's left of him got fired into space, yeah.
I was trying to be funny, but
I didn't get it.
he's an old man, isn't he? Now he's like
He's
a.
old, he's alive.
I know. All right, she's clearly got
You know
a
what?
thing for William Shatner.
I love his, he's the inferior captain though, isn't he?
Yeah. He's an intergalactic
Muppet.
Sex
Holy
pest.
baller.
You know, if you want to come home again, you want Picard.
Yeah.
If you don't want to come home again, you go with Kirk.
If you want to shag aliens, go with Kirk.
Yeah.
If you
If you want a cultured,
live-
civilised time when you come back and live, you choose Picard.
If you want space herpes, choose Kirk.
Or Riker.
Yeah.
I like the new version of Kirk.
Which one? Oh, the one in the new films.
Yeah, I
I like those films. I don't know. The first two I think are good.
Okay.
I haven't seen the others.
I haven't seen the most recent one, I don't think.
But I like I like the second one with Benedict
Benedict
Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I thought that was a decent. I mean, obviously,
Calm.
retcons the law a little bit, doesn't it? But I enjoyed it.
I was hoping they would make it. I'm guessing they might remake Wrath of Khan, maybe.
Maybe.
That'd be interesting, because I'd like to see Cumberbatch back again as Khan, because I did think he was good as Khan.
He's a good actor, isn't he? He's pretty much good in most things he's in.
Benedict Cumbersnatch.
Benedict Bandersnatch.
Mongoose were introduced to Hawaii to control the rat population.
And now they're overpopulated with mongoose!
And rats.
And
Because
rats.
it didn't work. Unfortunately, the mongooses diurnal, the rat nocturnal, so they rarely encountered each other.
Oh, they didn't think that through.
They didn't, did
That's
they?
quite hilarious.
So did they introduce a lot of cats at that point?
Maybe.
Well, when we're over cats, well, we can get dogs. Well, the dogs, we get wolves. Well, the wolves, we get bears. Well, we're over with bears. No, no.
Sasquatches!
We'll figure it out.
I'm obsessed, I know.
Does anyone know which bone is the last bone to stop growing in the body?
Your peni.
Last bone.
It's your nose, isn't it?
No, it's not a bone, it's cartilage, I think, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. You got a bit of a nose bone. No, you haven't. It's cartilage. So if skulls don't have no nose bone, do they?
No, it stops about there, doesn't it? Your nose bone.
Yeah. Last bone. The spine.
Nope.
Jawbone.
Nope. Collarbone.
Oh. Really?
Apparently. About 25.
Oh, right.
You hit 25.
Okay. Biology.
Cool.
Stephen Hawking was born on the anniversary of Galileo Galilei's death, January the 8th, and died on Albert Einstein's birthday, March the 14th.
Oh, that man was just destined for greatness then. The Hawk. We like the Hawk, don't we?
Yeah. He's a friend of the show, isn't he?
Friend of the show. Easy.
Does anyone like Oreos here?
I do.
Yeah.
I like the Aldi version.
I don't really like them, to be honest.
No.
They're like posh custard creams.
Take them or leave them, I can.
And bourbons mixed. Yeah.
If there's nothing
It's
else,
like bourbon biscuit, but with custard.
It's vanilla.
Yeah, the same thing as in
I'd
custard
say
cream.
they're a bit nicer than a bourbon,
I don't know, man. I'd have an Oreo.
but
over
I do
a
put
bourbon.
them in that similar category.
Oreo over a bourbon any day.
Yeah, I prefer. Yeah.
Because you can twist the top off. I always like to split me bourbons.
Well, this is researchers at MIT have proved that it is nearly impossible to twist an Oreo and have half of the filling end up on each cookie.
Probably
you
is.
don't
You
even
don't want
amounts.
that. You want all of it on one side.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's all I have it, yeah.
That's the
That's
aim
the
of
whole
the game.
point,
yeah.
You scrape it off of your teeth.
Or you just eat it all in
Or eat
yeah.
one, just as a biscuit and one as a
Yeah. Well, if you did one equal amounts on each side, it's virtually impossible.
Oh no, I'm disappointed when that happens. When you get a little bit of the cream on the other side and you don't twist it right.
This is why we're stunted in our scientific,
Fucking too right.
discoveries. Somebody's twisting fucking biscuits.
Yeah, fuck you, Midgely.
Well, at least they're twisting biscuits nowadays, not wanking on them.
When did you think that was
You never heard of the game Soggy Biscuit?
Yes. The Navy game.
Army game, actually.
That's nasty. Moving on.
Navy adopted it with a fucking great aplomb though, didn't they?
NASA's top priority this decade is probing Uranus.
Hey!
You said Uranus.
Yeah.
It's a bit far away though, isn't it?
Quite a big probe, isn't it, from here? That's a long stick.
But at the same time, what is probing Uranus actually going to tell us?
I mean, there's no way you can ask that question.
If the Greys were here, the alien race, they'd be like straight away, well, hang on, Ben, let me tell you. The probing Uranus can tell me a lot about you. You get prostate cancer in 5 years.
I suppose it's the makeup of Uranus is what they're probing.
I know, but can we live there? And if we can't, then let's not bother. Let's find places we can live.
Yeah, but I'm thinking.
Where is the Federation?
They're thinking of fuels, aren't they? That's what they're thinking of when they're probing all these different planets. They're thinking of planets that they can actually reach realistically, and as time goes on, we might need some of the fuels that they can provide. We might be able to get them a bit quicker. And
I know, we still need to be looking at, like, on some of the moons, like Europa and Io or Jupiter, meant to be potentially habitable. We could colonise them if we have domes and shit.
Well, with the sun's expansion, we should be looking into ones that are habitable, shouldn't we?
We should be looking at planets we can go to.
Yeah. Isn't it fucking freezing in Uranus?
Yeah.
I think it's he's got a tampon of his.
oh, gross! I really haven't.
Talking about that off mic.
Yes. Oh yeah, shit. Sorry.
You can't bring it up now.
Yeah, I think they should be heading to Europa to see if they can find life on there. Enceladus.
I think we need to look for somewhere to potentially live. Colonisation.
Well, that's Mars, isn't it?
Mars. But if
It's got to be Mars.
So if you send probes to Neptune or Uranus,
Yeah.
then let's put them on places where some of the moons around Jupiter and Saturn are meant to be potentially habitable.
I'd
Or
love to live on a moon around Jupiter. Imagine that flying in the sky right now. Oh, the sun's there and Jupiter's there. That means it's X o'clock.
A fuck ton of radiation comes from Jupiter, so I don't think that's possible.
Saturn?
Maybe.
Penis? Venus?
That's because the sun.
Trouble is, they don't have atmospheres because they're too
Joking.
small. Only Titan, that rains sulfur dioxide, doesn't it, or something? Or I don't know.
I'm just saying, we
Rains lead in Titan, isn't it?
Oh well, we'll be fine then.
No problem, we've got plenty of us already.
Maybe that's what the plan was. He was preparing us to go and live in heavy lead atmospheres, so we'll be immune, we'll be accustomed to it.
Mars is the best. It's the closest. One that's got the temperature closest to Earth. Because at the equator, it gets to about 20 degrees Celsius in the summer.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but it's only gonna, with the sun expanding, it's only gonna give us, I don't know.
That's 4 billion years away. I don't have to worry about that just yet. We're
Yeah,
fine. We're fine
just-
yet. That's not.
Claire's thinking long term, man.
Long term. Sure, someone needs to. Instead of twisting fucking biscuits.
I want.
So if you can get funding then, Claire, for there's a threat that's due in probably about 2 billion years, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna get it.
No, but I want Claire's cryogenically preserved head, like Futurama style head in a jar, to be like in a storeroom, and she's.
I told you so.
I told you so. I told you this was going to happen. And then they give you funding to figure it out.
Well, she's had 2 billion years to think about it.
Exactly.
I hope she would have come up with something.
As long as they haven't changed the water and there's more lead in there, I might have got smarter.
You could be the smartest person on the planet.
Put a bit of iron in it for you.
If you're not getting the lead water.
You need some iron water instead.
Lovely.
Okay, we'll finish on this one. The Icelandic Phallological Museum currently has just one human penis on display.
Only one?
Yeah. They expect the collection to grow over time, though. 2 more well-endowed humans have promised to donate upon their deaths. It's not much of a museum, though, is it? Just one cock in it.
Just one cock there.
I should imagine they've got cocks of animals, no?
Maybe.
And just one human.
Yeah.
You can't just go in and there's just one human cock.
Welcome to the museum!
And there's just a cock in a glass case in the middle of the room, suspended in gel.
Let me present this cock.
Yeah, we're the Human Dick Museum. It's more soon.
Hope you enjoyed your stay. Donations, please.
Is there a vag
Can be
museum
cock.
somewhere?
You can have a selfie with it. You're allowed to stick it in your mouth if you really want.
That's in a glass case, isn't it? It's got spotlights on it. It's on a little stand.
It's backlit.
It's backlit and everything, yeah.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, you can
Is it
see the
stuffed
veinage. I can see the veinage.
Is it like stuff
Yeah.
like
I think it's in formaldehyde. In a tank of formaldehyde. On a little stand.
Is it not like stuff like you would?
A stuffed penis.
Well, that's what I'm
It's
trying to
not
work.
fucking taxidermy, bro.
Well, that's what I'm trying to work out. Has it been taxidermed? Does it say?
No, it's just in a jar, like Ben said. You can see it there.
Oh, okay, it's just sat in a jar.
A little jar.
Wonderful.
I see it.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Cock in a jar.
cock in a jar. And on that note, let's end the show. I'm Ben, thank you very much for listening. Don't join the favourite, don't join the cult. You can follow us on Facebook at Cutting the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse, SoundCloud and most other podcasting platforms at Cutting the Bull in the PTA, and YouTube at Apocalypse Bull. Cheers.
I've been Mike, thanks for listening. Peace out, may the force be with you.
Did you know that Ahsoka Tano, who was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, had to kill all of the clone troopers who were her friends on the execution of Order 66, Mike?
Did
She
she?
was 17 and then she buried them. What have you done in your Jedi training?
Not that.
Just saying she
He's
was
on
a
a
Padawan.
haircut.
Yeah.
Just saying she was a Padawan.
Did
like
it give
you.
a lightsaber, do you like it?
Just saying that, she's a Padawan too.
Did you leave the rat tail?
I didn't, I forgot.
Oh,
It's been so on tonight now. It's stolen valor.
I'm not ready for that, Pete. I'm only at question 2 on the course.
And I've been Claire. Keep an open mind, but not so open that it dribbles out your ears.
And I've been Pete. Tickle your penis if you want when you die and stick it in a museum.
Pickle your penis, you mean?
It's an option.
You said tickle.
What?
I'm sure you said.
I said pickle.
It sounded like tickle to me.
I'm sure I said pickle, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
Pickle your penis.
Eat a pickle.